No, I think you should have a little GoFundMe and set up for me, and then I'll finance.
That's a GoFund you. That's not a GoFund me.
GoFundMe.
In the room, 52 Jokers Wild.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining Garvin and me in the room. This week, our guest is Dave Minogue, a producer and director from Poster Boy Films, which also happens to be the title of Dave's debut film. Welcome, Dave, to the show. We are talking to a lot of filmmakers at the moment about their experiences and where they're going. But our main interest is looking at how folks manage to get one, funding for their projects, and the other, which is more importantly, getting the investment so that they getting their films screened to an audience. And you're obviously getting some experience in that. Tell us a little bit about how you've managed to get your film on to an audience.
I don't know. I think I just blacked out for 2 years and woke up and it was done. And I'm like, thank God. Yeah, it's, well, I started the project Poster Boys with audience in mind, and which in some ways was a mistake because there's so many points of views that need to, or kind of levels that need to be checked for other investors and kind of stratas to get you to the audience that I didn't think about. And so it was like finding people that were more audience focused than all the things in between, especially for like a little indie film like this. You know, like festival runs and stuff like that. They're vital for something of this size. And I didn't consider that when I first started off. I was thinking, if you make it, they'll come.
They will come.
Yeah. Then COVID happened and I got to hide behind that a little bit. Yeah, so that was the main driver. And I think time will prove that more valuable. But, you know, to get it sustained life out of it, it would have been more beneficial if I had kind of looked at all the best practices that were out there to help with that. And, you know, like part of the reason to do something for 25,000 like that is to learn the hard way. And I did learn the hard way, just I didn't think it'd be that hard.
and so I'm reminded, Dave, of a couple of sayings. And the first one we've already said, you know, it's like the field of dreams, you know, build it and they will come.
Yeah.
No. It's the Muhammad one. It's bring the mountain to Muhammad. Which is, again, the same type of thing again. But what's going on here is the mountain is the customers, you know, and we've got to get a mountain on them and bring them to the field, because otherwise the revenue is not there. And we're hoping, though, but if you build it, they can come. And we were touching on that in a couple of shows. You have to, but the first customer, I like what you were talking about there, was we have a bunch of the conversations we're having with people is the first customer in mind was actually the investor to get the money to make the film. So you can get the customers, the end customer, the consumers to come. So there's customer of investor. There's going to be different types of customers to get to those festivals. But you're also saying, you know, if I actually do something nice and do it well, you know, I want to win some awards because I've done it. I've got it out there in this mad 2-year timeline of we woke up, you've done all the hard work, but you've done the hard work in the hardest time in the industry, being, we won't mention the war and what else is going on out there, but you've built it. They are coming. You've got yourself on Sky Movies. I don't know how many people are watching just yet, but they can come now. And I love the name of the film. And I'm just going to take and maybe give you a question if you're lucky. So I'm going to take the name of the film and go, you know, the poster boys, right? No. You are the poster boy for getting an indie short financed, done out there, and an audience, and Sky Movies, or if it's I'm not too sure Sky Movies, you'll tell us in a minute, that picked it up. So they can come. You can win awards. You might actually reap some rewards from that hard work of yours. So are you a poster boy for the industry now going forward?
I don't think so. Well, like, the thing about poster boys was always a chrononym. Like, it's something that's become to mean the opposite of what it used to mean. And it's used ironically. So in that sense. I hope not.
Oh, you have me so well. Yes, I am using it ironically. Did you miss sarcasm thrown in? Well, I'm hoping you bring it to the next level. Yeah.
Well, just to kind of keep killing that analogy of the field of dreams, like there's no point having a field up a mountain no one can reach. You need infrastructure to get there.
Absolutely.
And that's the kind of side of it that I probably didn't know so well, because I'm used to just running through fields anyway, not going on the road.
You're reminding me of Little House on the Prairie, and they're running through fields, and you're going. Yep,
I have
that's
the
a good
flowery
analogy
dress
as well. The flowery dress is blowing in the wind there. Now you're running through those fields.
Yeah.
Based on the experiences of what you did with Poster Boy, and you said there was a lot of learning. So obviously, I'm assuming that you're developing another project or a range of projects as producer. How are you looking at those films now, and the way that you're going to target the audience for those?
So I'm still fixated on audience, because at the end of the day, even though there's all these support mechanisms in place to get films made, they survive based on audience. So it's still audience orientated, but it's like, what's all the stuff in between to get there? And I'm more focused on putting those things in place while seeing the audience at the end. So like not unfortunately, because it makes sense, and we all do it. Like cast is a huge thing. Like sometimes you're in a mood for a Tom Hanks films, and sometimes like you want to go back and live with Cary Grant for a bit. And you got to remember that that's kind of the value assessment that the audience put in.
No, you're not letting me away with that one. Sorry, I've always been mistaken for Tom Hanks, so I'm not too sure we got Cary Grant sitting on our left over here at the moment. But Tom Hanks, you're probably thinking toys and when the good old days, and not the bald, older version. But he's the sign of success. He went from young to old.
I think he's Mr. Potato Head himself.
He's Oscar winning. He's probably producer director now as well. He's well heeled, but I've always been, I'm not saying mistaken for Tom Hanks. So probably that sarcasm sort of was in the tone at the time. But I like that Tom Hanks has come into the conversation.
Yul Brynner, I think it is, isn't it?
With that. Yul Brynner, got to be closer. Actually, we're going for Jean-Luc Picard at the moment. And if we stick to that, actually, what I'm reminded of is Kirk went to space this week, just gone.
Yes.
So, William Shatner's dream was made true, the oldest astronaut on the planet. Do you think Bezos actually done that as a publicity stunt and gave him a free ride? I don't know.
Well, he wouldn't have picked you.
That's it. I'm going to put in a little addendum there. Yes. So you have aspirations to the next big thing, and that's good. So you have Tom Hanks on your hit list for cast by the looks of it. Back to you.
Always. Like, wouldn't you just love to hang out with Tom Hanks? The reason you watch Tom Hanks films is to feel like you're in his presence and stuff. So that it's the value assessments that people put on themselves when they're choosing what to watch and things. So that's kind of what I keep in mind. And then, and to get access to money and to get access to the publicity, you have to look at the value assessments that are going on there as well. So it's kind of a combination of all of it. And like, nobody likes filling in application forms, because, you don't fill in an application form to go watch a film. So
some people like filling in application forms. They're very strange people.
They spend 16 hours a day for 50 days filling them in. I know some of those people.
But the great thing what you just said is that the weird thing is that's the barrier to an awful lot of people trying to get a bit of short funding or a bit of grant from so-and-so. The pain of going through paper is actually and there's a queue as long as your arm of people in that queue, not necessarily, and it's even the tendering type queue. They don't do it well, but the ones that do it well keep on getting it. We've said this in a number of shows before, but there's no escaping the pain. You even touched on it before before we started recording. Section 481 and that journey, the pain journey to be compliant for the tax man to get the money back or to get the cash flow. It's all about the paper. It's all about the pain and getting your pitch. Because if you think of like pitching the story and pitching the investment, if it isn't understood on paper, it doesn't get to the next stage, and that is a pain that most of us aren't used to. To get
the same mechanisms have like the 481 is one thing, but like we all choose to watch whatever we're watching based on a logline trailer, whoever feeds in that information. So if you can't do that for the application, then how can you expect someone to go watch it? So like you do need to value all of this stuff and kind of appreciate. Like the one thing actually I learned from all the stuff I've ever done is that there's a reason for most of it. Like when we first started doing stuff, we didn't know, we were like, let's not have a director. Let's just all figure it out. But like you get in half an hour and you're like, actually, no, someone needs to be the voice here. Yeah. And, you start kind of evolving it. Like, producers kind of came about because the director couldn't do everything. Yeah. And they're like, I need someone else to do this at the same time, blah, blah, blah. So like all these roles are evolutions of experience, and you kind of learn a respect for it that way. And in the same vein, then you learn a respect for who you're working with and how they feed into the organic production of it.
I think one of the problems that I know I've encountered with, actually some of the discussions we've had, we know there's lots of people that like the idea of directing a film, like the idea, but when you start to break it down into the mechanics so it can be functional in Garvin terminology, you need to break it down into these little moments. And as long as you've got somebody actually monitoring the schedule, monitoring the budget, you can actually then relax in those little bits of time that you've got to shoot something. I mean, is that part of your process? How do you break your films down so you can manage them during the actual shoot and then make sure that you're keeping within your budget?
Yeah, well, you keep within the budget by managing the shoot.
No way, hold on a second. I'm going to stop you before you answer that question, because I'm still stuck on the last one, and I didn't. You answered the last question at the very, very start, and I can't even remember the last question. And you started as if you'd actually came up with, I figured out the meaning of life. I found out the answer to all problems. I thought, my God. Yeah, and this is exactly what, and it's the meaning, the purpose in life, or the purpose in the film, and that's what you're going to do is you have the audience purpose hidden in there. You're going to reach a certain genre, reach a certain target audience, but you have to. The meaning of life was that just jumped out of me. I found the answer. 42, as George said. The answer is have everything planned in order with budget, pre-prepared, good planning, and at the same time. Actually, that's what the other thing was. Why you're doing what you're doing. You know who you're doing it for. You know what everyone's role is. Therefore, you know what wrong looks like. And you know what
it also creates an environment where people can relax. Setting those structures up, I found with the projects I've worked on, means that when everybody's there, they know that they're there for a specific purpose. They can actually get on with their job and aid the director to make sure he gets what he wants. That was what I found. Is that something similar or?
Yeah, well, I've started looking at it as a process of fermentation, where you're looking for these bubbles of life. Like you do your schedule, you do all this, but you hope that you might get the sunset, but you might actually get a storm that's amazing and suits the scene better. And that's the organic process of it, the fermentation that I love. And even in terms of scheduling and things like that, where you find out actually if we do all this, we might save a bit more money for X. But it's you find these offshoots of organic kind of creativity that's not just about what's on the screen, but it's about what's in the finance plan.
So how is your side investment in craft beer or craft brewing going? Just want to know.
Terrible. It's because I keep saying watch Poster Boys. That's the name of the beer. Just watch Poster Boys. Will you watch my film?
Actually, what's very, very interesting is you're now adopting a business language. We keep on saying business 101. And actually, the last interview we had, I think, was Frank Kelly, and he's just launched his book, 8 Simple Steps to Doing Shorts. But what he said, what it really was 8 steps. The production process, and it's a process on pre-production, production, post-production, and then that's still all production. Sales and marketing are not production. Business development is not production. Raising finance is not production. But they're the other parts of the business that he even touched on a few of the other people we're speaking to. If you're in the business of film, then you have to have all these other functions facilitating the production of the product or service of the film, and then you get to sell it, and then you get to do it again, or raise more investment and do it again.
Well, I think it's all part of the experience. Like the marketing is part of why I enjoy going to see a film. It's like the trailers of like even if you take just Bond, I don't know when this is coming out, but like the Bond film, like they've been teasing that for 50 years. The next
it's actually in the
film,
cinema now. I'm hoping to get to see it.
But like the trailers, the cancellation, all this kind of stuff, you're buying into the theatrical not the theatrical, but like it's like the theater of politics, but for a film. It's like
now, the one thing I don't like, so I'm just jumping in here because you're reminding me of the one thing I don't like about films is I see all the trailers and realize I've seen the film.
Oh, yeah.
I go to see the film and it turns out they were the best shot. And that's really, really annoying.
Yeah. Yes. But I got over that when I learned the 3-act structure. So it's like I've seen every film. But that is part of it. Like you kind of have to enjoy all of that. Otherwise, why do you watch it? Because it isn't always about just the film. It's about the act of going to a cinema and kind of being there, or the dinner beforehand or afterwards, or the pint with friends and stuff. So it's more than just the story or the film. There's a whole event around it for the individual, for the audience.
You've done the thing which I love best. Is you're sitting there in the cinema or on the TV, and I'm constantly doing this. I could do that. Geez, I could have done that myself better. I know you're starting to reverse engineer some of the things going. There's 2 cameras outside that car. That's a green screen behind it. Yeah. That's bloody you. But the one thing that's great about that, and there's usually people sitting beside me going, "You can do that, can you?" Well, why aren't you doing that? Well, go off and do that. Yeah. Stop talking the talk, start walking the walk. And that's actually what I like about you is you work in the industry. Well, I don't like much about you, but the little bit I do like about you is you're walking the walk as well as talking the talk. And you went off and you walk. Well, if we can get one of those little wheelchairs, like actually it's one of those little not the wheelchair. They're all going around on scooters these days. The electric scooter.
Oh, that's dangerous things. Those things.
That's it. Mall cop. Paul Blart Mall cop. We want to be able to walk the walk, talk the talk. You can dream the dream. That's what most people do. Never get any further. We've been talking the talk for quite a while now, myself and George, and he's giving out about it. He says we have to go walking the walk now. Start making stuff because we've talked about it. No, George has made loads in the past. But the new iteration is all about the future. It's time to walk the walks and do an awful lot. We want to keep on what we want to do that Tom Hanks, believe it or not. We want to walk from one side of the country and back again. We want to keep on walking the walk because that means we're in the industry. So you've Poster Boys, you've done a bunch of stuff before that. George touched on it. What's in the slate coming down the road now that you've learned an awful lot more from Poster Boys as to what not to do, in what order, and how to do it better going forward?
I'm always a little reluctant to talk about them until they're real, but we have 2 things that I'm pretty excited about. One is like an adventure thing for kids that we're putting.
So James Bond 7 number,
James Bond, but Irish. So Jimmy O'Bond. And then we have this other one this is a real festival one, and this is the kind of one that like you're putting in all the things in place and stuff. And that's a Spanish language film with an Italian director called Samuel McFadden. And that's, I love Sam. I love the idea. It's not all there, but there's such a great process in it that, I'm just excited to be part of that one. So, and the other one's mine, and I'm excited to be part of that for different reasons. But, you got to care.
It's even better when you're not letting yourself, the one you're a part of, you're going, I fire myself first. You're going, it's now you should be, well, you've just said in the one sentence, work and passion. This is mine. That's work. I'm involved. I'm one of a team. I'm one of a bigger machine. I'm in the industry. It's a bigger something. I don't know how much that is. It's 10 million, 20 million, 5 but the other one, because we loved the old accountant and me can't help itself is going, you're one on the side. Everyone we've talked in the last 15 interviews has the passion one in the handbag or the man bag. They're going, it's 500,000, it's 15 million. I think we're going to make this a common subject going forward. What's in your man bag? What's the budget?
5 million.
For your
5 million. 5 million. What
do you need?
Well, it's a different, like the problem with the one I'm doing there to speak about is that it's so big that I feel I'm just waiting for it to fall apart. But the smallest version of it is a 5 million feature. And that's not that's
not insurmountable.
Yeah. It's not. That's like that's the average low size indie film.
Can we just clarify that you're talking now as a producer or as a director in this particular role?
Both.
You're both. You're going to direct it as well. So which part of you, which of the 2 roles that you're talking about at this particular point in time is the dominant role until you get into pre-production or wherever?
Well, we're we're already in production on some parts of it, but the and I'm flipping back into the writer head on it because I'm getting these notes, but as the producer, I'm like, we'll fix it out later. Like, we'll get there. It'll be grand. But then
in editing, in post production,
I'm an editor. The last thing I want to hear is that we'll solve it in editing. I can tell you.
Well, like, that's the beautiful thing about kind of doing more stuff is that you work with more people, and you don't want them there because it's just to have a big army beside you. You want them there because you want their input. Like what I'm saying about like how the roles are there for a reason, and that they're to help the project and to help everyone. So, while I don't love the process and notes and all this, you have to bring it in and kind of see. Well,
I'm currently going through. I'm going through a director's manual at the moment. I'm just every so often I go back to basics to see if I've forgotten stuff or whether I'm still on target with stuff. And I'm reading this really good book on directing,
what's the name of it?
Where is it? It's actually one of those Routledge books. It's the director's handbook. It's about 27 quid on Amazon. I'll send you a link to it at some point.
Great, yeah.
What's really good is that what Garvin and I have been looking at with some of the scripts that we've been sort of viewing is the fact that the writer is a director, and we're getting director's notes in the writing where there shouldn't be any of those things. There shouldn't be any descriptions of camera movements and likes of. And again, I know that from my own experience, because I've written and directed and I'm producing, is that you need to have a writer's script before you get the director dealing with it. How do you work with those two processes? Is there a lot of camera direction or direction notes in your writing, or are you keeping those out? Can you separate the different roles that you're actually undertaking?
I have kind of a dual kind of view on that. Like, one, who knows where the camera is supposed to be till you see the location? If you're not in a studio, like who knows? Yeah. So it's like you go out there, you feel it, you feel where the right position for the camera is. You do that through recce's and all that kind of stuff. And then the other side is like you do need to give a sense of what the audience are seeing in the script. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that requires just very simple cut to this. And I go the other way. I like to say cut to without saying cut to when I'm writing. But some people just prefer it the other way. It really depends on your viewpoint, because like at the end of the day, when you're watching a film, you don't really get what the script said.
I know.
You care about how the process went to get there. And it's all feeds in. I'm not saying the script isn't important or anything like that. I'm saying it's part of what's feeding into the audience experience. So it's all together. And really, like, I guess that's kind of like a shooting script as well, where you get to a point where you say, I want this, I want this. That becomes
that's the secondary one. The reason we're saying this is that what we're discovering is that when we come to analyze a script and put it through a process to break it down, what we're finding is that all those little things that aren't meant to be there sort of throw in hiccups into the budgeting process, because we're starting to automate some of those processes so that we can very, very quickly see what a budget should look like and get a good, reasonable idea of what some of the things that are needed in there. And we're also, Garvin's been saying, do you need a Rolls Royce or do you need a Lada? With a Lada do instead of the Rolls Royce, because of the monetary sort of situation. And if the script is reasonably, sometimes it needs to be specific. In other cases, it doesn't need to be that specific. And so if I wrote a script and it said it was in Belfast, the City Hall, well, then I've stuck myself in Belfast. But we could be in Johannesburg instead, which has a similar sort of building. Do you know what I mean? It's depending on where we are. If we limit the way that we write the script, it causes other problems with the kind of budget. But I think, again, it's that you want flexibility. And so do I. My script is just a guide. And when I'm out there could be things that are happening that I suddenly hadn't thought about. And I want to capture that and, develop that within the process. As long as I get to the end of the scene and it leads to where the next scene is, I'm happy enough. Is that a sort of process?
Actually, I'm going to jump in. Sorry there. Just the weird thing, I have to say, that's one of my throwaway phrases now. I'm using it about 3 times a show. I have to stop that. But the strange thing is, we go strange rather than weird. Stranger Things. But what's been happening in the last 15 shows since we started doing the business of film, we're talking to an awful lot of people that are trying to get to their breakout feature. So we've touched on this language before. You've actually done a split personality. You went back, you split yourself and went off and done a micro 25 grand. Now, in the same sentence, you just said the one in the man bag or the one you're currently working on is, sure, Mike, sure, indie is 5 million. Now, actually, the definition out there is sub 2 million for indie micro-production. It's just throwaway figures, depending on whether you're in Europe or America.
But no, I thought it was 5 to 12 is indie, and then below that is low budget. Technically, below that's micro, and technically 25 is a no budget feature.
And that's where we have to find a common language. So that now what we're saying is indie is independent production. Now, if it's micro, we're near myself and George are thinking if it's micro, it's subsection 481. It's no investment, no tax break. It's you're trying. Why would you do 250 when you can do 260 and actually get a third of it back? You wouldn't. Oh no. So you'd actually start going into the realm of 2 million, under 2 million. Stephen Fellows says this is a tough space to get investors. This is a tough space. You got some sort of tax break, but it's more likely art coming up to meet mass production of commercialism. But this is where you might get a first-time producer, first-time director getting an opportunity. But it's because no one above 2 million starting is going to be given the first time anybody access to their 50 million budget. It's not going to be happening. They've got their team, the go-to team, the winners, as they say, they bought, they paid, and they want to deliver the known factor. But what I'm trying to do with this conversation is frame. You're talking at a 5 million space. So if we don't reframe ourselves up to that's a 50-man cast crew, well budgeted, definitely financed and funded, because you ain't fecking around looking for 5 million as you go on Kickstarter. You're there.
Yeah, like
you've pitched something of meaning, of value that's being funded. It's like Joyride, I think, was about 4.5 million just got made there during the year.
Yeah,
that's substantial. And I think we were asking the questions more in the context of you trying to raise your own finance and funding for, let's say, your project. Is that a 500 grand something in your man bag, or is the 5 million one? You're actually at a higher frame of mind going, no, I've done the 25. That's a hobby. That's me short. Anything I'm going to be doing going forward for me is 5 million.
Yeah, ish. Like it's more what it needs to get done, basically.
Yeah.
To the level, to the level of what the audience will be expecting from the kind of project that I'm pitching. Like I think Nomadland is a brilliant example of how to figure out your budget. It's like that's way too much for the likes of us, but we still could do that, for a lot less. You could do that for the 500,000. You might be able to get the cast. You definitely won't be able to get that cast, but unless you're best friends with one of them. But you can, that's
me and Tom.
Yeah, like that. But that production model meets a low budget. It can meet with it. But the one I'm talking about would always be low. It would still be a very, very low budget, and we'll still be trying to figure out how to get through the weeks, and we'll be still stressing over the 50 quids here and there. But
well, that's always the way. That's what happened with me with most of my projects. So you always end up with no money. It's almost as though it's a test to find out whether or not you can get through the week.
Yeah, it's not 5 million to go and hang out. It's 5 million to spend.
Well, absolutely.
And it's like, how does that get spent?
No, actually, no, stop that. I'm going to stop you on the wrist there now. It's not 5 million to spend. It's 5 million to invest.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point.
But it's when you're talking outward to invest, but when you're on set, it's like I can't just say I'm going to give myself a really nice paycheck and go off on a holiday.
Yeah.
No, I actually have to spend all this.
Yeah.
It's like anytime you get greenlit for anything.
Again, I'm still saying the same language, because I know you're saying spend, and it's a massive difference. It's the 5 million is now what we have to do. We've touched on this with Roisin Kearney is you're investing and extracting the service value. So the production value is got from the actor in the delivery of the line, that the location manager got that spot, the cameraman cut the cinematographer cut the moment, and you packaged it well. That money is not being spent. It's been invested in those services to extract the value of those individuals. So it's packaged for the end consumer to get that experience.
Absolutely. But
that's my perception.
In the 481, it's literally spent.
No, 481 is saying you're not getting any of this back. We're not pre-financing you. You better have your investor. You better be able to cash flow it. And when you prove to us you did what you said on the tin, we will. Well, exactly. We'll give you your money. We'll give you. You've done what you said you'd do, and it meets the compliance. And that's what they're saying. Are you compliant in how you spent it?
Yeah, I think it's good. Like it's tough to figure out all that stuff, but it's healthy. Like it means you're spending it in the right places.
That's it.
And yeah,
you're not going to lose that word, are you?
No, like it's yeah, I'm not
investing it in all the right places.
Yeah, but like, you don't go to the cinema and go, I'm going to invest in Dave Minogue with this 1050. I'm going to spend 1050 at the cinema.
No, all right. No, but that's the difference.
Yeah.
That's not an investment, as you said. But the 5 million was an investment, and the services haven't been delivered yet to capture it.
It is.
So you're purchasing their services, and if it's spent and you didn't get the value, then you're just that's what we're saying. The money is so important, especially on the micro, because you're squeezing more value out of it than there is actual money. So and you're investing in your relationships, and you're extracting from those relationships, and that's the family bit, the business of family, or the family business. And we're saying, but you can't keep on milking it, and that's what we were saying. You can't milk family, you can't milk friends, you can't keep on asking for nothing and favor this, and not have a final reward in the future of the end film, which is great.
Yeah, but even like when you're on Poster Boys, I absolutely milked the whole family.
Yeah, I know you did.
They hated it. They love it now, but at the time, in the moment, it was torture for everyone, me and them.
Well, that cow has been that cow you just milked. You can't go back there 10 minutes later and try and milk it again. No. You're going. You're right. That's where we're going. Now, I love the fact you have the relationships in the bigger industry, because a couple of people we were talking to, they were able to finance a little bit of the short and the passion project because as George always says, they have the day job. They're doing this as a profession. They're able and they're willing to take their excess couple of quid and invest it back in their own passion and story. Yeah. And that's what you're doing as well. You got your poster boys out there because you're the poster boy for short films in Ireland, in my view. Now the thing is, it's poster boys 2 and 3. Who are you going to milk? That's what we want.
Yeah, the state.
Now we have it. No, and that's what I love, because the one thing, when I was an accountant, I was saying it's as easy to have 3 more zeros after the comma, because in terms of time and effort, it's as easy to talk millions as 10 grand. The work, effort, and time is nearly the same. What the difference is a mindset, but the difference also becomes if you believe in the story and you can package the pitch correctly, the story of the investment, of the potential return, then you will get that 5 million or 50 million. You'll get it. There's more money than sense out there. We keep on saying it. You will get it if you believe the story, and if you believe the story and convince others that this is to believe in it, then the money is there. So the bigger you think, the bigger you talk.
Where that leads us to then is really, Dave, what method do you use to actually package put together your package? What's the process that you go through to put a package together for pitching? And I know it may sound a bit kind of strange, but what I'm coming across at the moment is that a lot of people don't understand that process. I mean, you mentioned about the pitch lines or the log lines, and also, those sort of things. So tell us a little bit about your process. What bits are important that you feel that need to be demonstrated to a potential investor?
Well, every investor is different because they're going to come at it from what they want to get from things. So it's knowing your investor.
Money, return.
Well, yeah, like that is true. But then, Screen Ireland are an investor, and they have a different complex value assessment on that. Like, money is definitely part of it, but it's not. They have more to it, and different investors do as well. Like, some investors just invest in development, and they want to develop on something that they'll get their money from the production, which is a lot of what Screen Ireland do as well. But they put their money into the development, and what they don't need to see the audience. They just need to see it go into production. So they don't care as much about the audience stuff as you do. So it's understanding that stuff and being able to explain how it's going to get there. But, at the same time, I'm in between going into my next one and the other one. So whatever works is to be decided, or TBC at this point, and literally in the TBC stage. But I think you gotta believe in it, because, you don't set up a restaurant thinking you're only okay at cooking. You got to think you're going to be great at it. But chances are you're probably only going to be okay. So you kind of have to build that in and kind of be realistic and kind of know the market, which is knowing your audience, because we do have a very strong cinema going audience here, and they're very cine literate as well, which is great. They also like really high end stuff and really low end stuff. It's it's weird, but yeah, I don't really know. You gotta just do whatever you can.
Oh, I'm going to ask the question there, because ultimately, if you don't really know, there's a team of 50 people behind you somewhere. Someone else knows, because even though we've got to take the soft money out of the picture for a second and go, Street Ireland doesn't get their money back, don't care, because their job is to spend and invest in the people and the industry. Now, they want the money back if you're making money, because they didn't see themselves as an investor. So give me it back if you make it, but if you don't, we won't necessarily chase you for it. We'll park that. It's the other bunch that are suddenly going, well, as we said, the likes of Netflix are now saying, we'll buy your production. We won't give you access to 100 million customers. We'll give you 30% of the production cost. And therefore, if it took you 3 years, you're getting a 6% return. And you're going, sorry, I can get better than that in my pension on a cash account. You're going, so who is packaging it for the investor? That 5 million. $1 million is from Screen Ireland. 4 million wants his money back. It needs 50 million customers. Are you giving them 10 million? Quid? What is their expected return for an investor these days, and what's the timeline on it? Because I haven't a clue. I don't know what to expect back on a £5 million film, and when I get it, and what if I get it. Is the risk very risky, or is this more they're commissioning the film and they already have their audience in mind, or you're raising 5 million for, you're going, what are you offering? What are you offering for this 5 million?
I think the problem is the landscape has changed so much, and we're in a real inflection point at the moment that it's the old metrics are not as reliable.
Won't work.
And they're still being the old metrics are still being used, but they're not as reliable. And with the way things are going, like there's like 6 big prominent streamers that you're kind of going, I need them to have everything else. And that's what's difficult.
They're shutting the door.
Because you're still they're slowly shutting, making it more like you used to be able to just go straight to Amazon, and you can't now. You have to go through an aggregator to get onto Amazon. So there's all these kind of price points or points of entry that are costly. That's a lovely word you just said. If you went direct, you were getting X. Go through an aggregator, now you're sharing your sales of 50% more. Now you need twice the customer back to get the break even in the 1 cent. And you got to pay to play as well. And you got to pay with no guarantee. Exactly. And it's but like, no, you're not doing a very good pitch there, Jay. If you told me how it's going to take me twice as long and it's going to have less chance of getting seen, I'm still spending your 5 million. Am I just trying to dissuade other people from pitching at the same time? Yeah, absolutely. Very good. I think everybody's into that game at the moment. just go and be a banker. Well, I wish I've got your money. I'm spending. I don't care. Go make money in the bank first, and then do it, because they love rich people. They love when rich people show up.
But isn't the reality now getting to the point where, although film does seem to be very volatile in the way that you try and get your investment back, it's the same problem that the gamers are having. It's the same problem that the techies are all having as well. So there's still, if your passion is film, it's still good to go for film and try and get your film made. And like work is work. Like I've worked in KFC and other places like that. They're as difficult as working on film sets. They're just like, their work is work. So if you're whatever you're doing, you're gonna have to work. Like no one is painting lovely Monets and not in some way. Yes, they are. Every little kid out there, they're working. Is it an NFT? They're working. Well, they're they're making 50 grand a month. It's not the little kids, it's the AIs and robots are doing those. But the NFTs, like even that's a good example. Like to make money off an NFT, you got to do a lot of work and kind of self-promotion and all this other bullshit that goes with them. So like, no matter what you do, you're going to have to work. Like you want to make a film. I'm going to jump on that. Dave, that's terrible. Now, we have to do the work, and then you said, and then you have to deal with the bullshit promotion and sales part of it as well. So the strange thing is, you hit the analogy in the industry. In production, we want to have the experience of making the film. We want everyone in there, if they're on a day job rate, they're getting paid. I'm a cameraman. I'm a sound man. I was one of the team. We made the film. We got paid. 99% of those people do not want the hassle. They want to turn up and do the job they enjoy. But the great thing about what you're doing is, and what the people we're talking to, there's a semi-entrepreneurship head on your shoulders, because you realize the other functions that other people are uncomfortable in to get to do the work that they want to do. If I be cameraman, I have to be sales, marketing, business development, and finance raising if we're in this particular industry beyond having a job in it. So you're actually
you're entrepreneurial, you're in the business of film, you're jobbing, but you're also double and triple jobbing as well.
Well,
to
yeah.
get a chance to do your passion projects.
But the thing about like working on set and stuff, that's tiresome, it's exhausting, but I love it. It's great crack, it's fun, it's creative, and there's a lot of camaraderie. But the absolute work that went into Poster Boys was finishing it and getting someone to buy it and then to sell it and then to see it go out. And it's still not over. Like I'm going to have another 4 years, I think, with working actively on Poster Boys. So that's the job.
Other functions.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's the real job to me, anyway. Yeah. That's where the expertise and all that. I'd love if someone else is doing it, because then I just get to do the fun bits.
And now you just said it. It's the bit we don't. It's not the bit we don't enjoy. Actually, you might get because you're going to go to the festivals. You're going to enjoy it. If you win some awards, you'll love the adoration. You'll be going to those conferences and more podcasts. So the strange thing is, the work, the new work, is not the work of the functional production. The interesting work was I got to get the money together. I got to get the plan. I got to get it done. That only took 3 months of doing. But now the real work is 4 years of the accolades, of the chasing up and attracting the next opportunity to do it again, or the equivalent of. So that's the great thing. That's the work of indie film is actually those other roles is that you have to take on.
It's the iceberg stuff, isn't it? Like nobody sees this part.
What's underneath. Exactly. It's an awful lot going on that meets the eye. And that's what I'm saying. So we've got 10 jobs. And when one finishes, the other starts. And that's what's really going on.
Yeah.
But if they're left out, that's what I was always saying before. Myself and George, we're clueless on social media. And we might have 100 hours of content, but we don't know how to tag this and tweak that and do. So therefore, we cannot make the jump to the audience, the connection. The audience, if they got to see the program, they can actually have an opinion whether they like or dislike. But to even get to that stage, as you said, we've got people now have to navigate the social media realms and the new channels and routes to market, and they may never get the opportunity for the thing even to be seen, to say it was good or bad.
Well, I think again we've mentioned that the film algorithms have changed. Well, I think in the social media side of things, in the last couple of years, things have changed so much that for people to try and market themselves social media wise is becoming more and more difficult. It's not as easy as it would have been 5 or 6 years ago. And I think that's what we're finding is the reason why we're struggling or is that everybody's struggling. Nobody's having the same, they're not having an easy ride or if they're like, I watched an interesting documentary on TikTok over the weekend. And it just showed
what, George? You're watching TikTok?
TikTok documentary.
You think it should be
I watched a documentary on YouTube about TikTok, which indicated
a 6-second documentary. Interesting.
It was a
CCTV footage.
There's a guy doing 45. Wait, you see, this is it. You see, most of us have a misconception of how TikTok's actually working. I certainly did. But what's happening is that the algorithms now are gathering so much information about the individual people that it can now tailor specific videos. And I think TikTok are now going up to about 15 minutes. Although it's a Chinese company, they're being squashed by all the other companies trying to have a go at them. But they're actually bigger than all the social media networks that we know. Yeah. But they've found different ways to market their product. But they had a massive, great big marketing budget right at the very beginning. And then they found ways to try and attract people to their social media platform. And now it's just taken off. But the same issues are actually occurring that people are struggling with, if depending on the mood they're in, the stuff throws stuff to do with their mood. And that's taking up so many people's sort of time, which is why I think we want to stay away from social media, because we want to get into the reality of making stuff and producing stuff, which is what we're trying to do.
I'm going to ask a quick question now based on TikTok.
Yeah, go on, TikTok.
The fact is, are you on TikTok?
Yes, that's what he was doing just beforehand.
No. Doing my little dances.
Do the little dance, do the little shimmy. Yeah.
I even think this dance move is like a 90s reference. Yeah. I'm not on it.
But Roisin Kearney is saying everyone's moving to it. Businesses are all moving to it, because if you're not putting the ads in, that's where everyone now is. They're not on Facebook anymore. LinkedIn, there's a bunch of us on LinkedIn. We're still there, but we're based on the audience we're talking to. We're talking to our peer set there, possible people we're going to work with, hire, or be suppliers. But our customers may not be there. Our customers potentially are on TikTok now and no longer on Instagram or Facebook.
Yeah, but that's always
your
been true.
customers.
Yeah.
Like
So who's the poster boy audience? I didn't watch the film yet. Yes, I emphasize that. I think I had to pay €1, but
it's free on Sky Cinema and Now TV if you're subscribed there.
I will watch it. I will watch it.
Well, like the audience is male and females 18 to 35. Like it resonates the most with it. Even the way people respond to it, you can tell that it's that generation that enjoy the story more. And I think there's like the danger, the existential crisis of it all resonates more clearly with that age group than any others, and most people of that age. But like kids actually love it, which is really fucked up because like it's not that kind of a film in any way, shape, or form. But the amount of
actually, Squid Game. They're talking about the fact that all the kids are watching Squid Game, and they're going, "This is the gratuitous violence." It's so, but indirectly, we're going. Everyone has access versus whatever, phone or this, 12-year-olds a phone, 6-year-olds have phones. It's all there. And if they're on TikTok, it's seeping through. And because it doesn't matter what channel you're on, you won't be able to filter it out. So the strange, we were talking to Roisin and others before in the sense of we can make programs and we're putting them over here, but no one's there. They're the market we're talking about are not on Sky. I got rid of Sky this morning. Yeah. I got rid of Prime this morning because it says I can't find anything to watch. I'm paying £7 a month. So if they're actually making their own channels on their own phones, then the audience of the future, we said cinema, but we may or may not go to cinema, but it's where things are going to be consumed is, as you said, it's going to be for free. They're going to get led by their peers based on the algorithms going to put something in front of them, and therefore we need to have our stuff there so it can even be picked up.
I don't know. I think like nothing's new with any of this.
Yeah,
like, nothing is ever free.
No, nothing's new.
Yeah, nothing's free. Like I watched Terminator when I was 7, I think, and that's like the equivalent of Squid Game back then. Like it's all the same, but just different.
I mean, that's interesting because I mean, my impression of Squid Game, and I was about to say that the Daily Mirror, which I happened to see something online, was talking about the recent murder that occurred, and they mentioned about a witness was sitting at home. Jeff Bloggs was sitting at home watching Squid Game when he heard this strange noise outside going on, and he wondered what the fuss was. Initially, he thought it was part of the program. And I'm kind of going, is that advertising within the initial story of the news? It's those things that I think is what a lot of these people are doing. They're finding ingenious ways to actually market their stuff, get their stuff out there, and find little ways to. And I think,
sorry, George, I'm just not going to let Dave away with the last statement and Arnold Schwarzenegger and Terminator. I'm going. If you go back when you were 7, I don't know what age you are. You might be 37. We'll give you 30 years. We'll go back. Actually, 1985.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah. There you go. So it's in my head. I remember watching it. I didn't have a phone. I didn't have a mobile. I had to go to the corner telecom sort of thing to ring the girlfriend. On that basis, there's no way it's a comparable consumption or in the sense of they've got a full film crew and they're on 4HD real-time tech from iPad. Yeah. There's no comparison. TikTok and 50 billion people talking off their heads on the planet. If someone done a little pelvic thrust back in 1985 on Grafton Street, I'll tell you, you'd be gone to the joy. You'd be gone.
Yeah, but people are just killing their time in whatever way they can. And they're bringing their creativity.
But they can kill more.
That's an interesting statement.
It's way more
killing
fun.
Time.
Well, that's what.
No, that's the thing. Actually, that's what I was probably trying to get to. For us to watch Terminator, I had to earn £5 for working 3 hours in the local pub as a lounge boy. Had to get me bus into town. Had to queue up, probably for 6 episodes of it. 700 people queuing up for the one show in Stephen's Green. So here it's Instamatic. It's accessible. It's free. It's a total. And again, it's no filter.
It's just taking out space and time. That's all.
Yeah. But even the fact that all of us here know about Squid Game, I have no interest in watching it, but I know a lot about it. Every single day. I'm seeing something that pops up in some of the media.
George, you better get an interest. I'm firing you right now. So something that gets 112 million views on Netflix. We need to know the formula. That's what we're
I refuse to watch it.
That's what every short and feature. No, it's not about watching it, but there's a formula there that says it's about we need to deconstruct the formula. It doesn't mean it mattered. And it was a simple something, and he wrote it 20 years ago. But now is the time that gives you the mass audience. But the formula is, how do we break through the Netflix pitching mechanism that we have a simple sum that we raise 10, 20 million, that for the storyline knows it's 120 million audience.
If you figure that out, Netflix will probably come looking to you for the pitch.
That's it. So, that's the thing.
No, that's the goal. And that's what we're saying. The story we're meant to be pitching is a game of smoke and mirror, that you have something in the bag that they need to be coming to you, not you to them. Because if we go to them, we're in a queue of 5,000 people, all with the answer and the Holy Grail. We want to say, I know, we're not going to you. We're not even going to tell you what it is. Actually, you're not allowed to have it. And then the goal here is to get the mountain to come to Muhammad, as you said at the very beginning.
Or but think about it, if he's pitching that for the last 10 years, like, has his pitch stayed the same, or has he evolved to listen to what they're responding to?
Yeah.
And how different is the actual story? Maybe Squid Game, the title is the same, and the overall concept is, but like, what changed? And then, 10 years is a long time these days, and the world is vastly different than it was 10 years ago. So the people that were hearing the story over those 10 years.
Now, Dave, sorry for interrupting. Now you're actually in total conflict with the last statement we had about Terminator. Because now you're saying what's changed in the last 10 to 20 years is it's done this, that. That's what I was trying to say. No. 30 years ago, 1985, Terminator. Did the story change? No, it didn't.
No, what people are doing, I meant like the act of how, like, so I watched Terminator because I went to a friend's house and their older brother had it. The kids are on TikTok because their older siblings or they're seeing everyone else on.
It's still word of mouth,
like they're falling for the same things. Yeah,
word of mouth is actually.
Actually, you didn't answer the question. Why are you on TikTok?
No, he did answer that question.
Are you going to be on TikTok?
Garvin, he didn't listen.
I don't know. I'm thinking of giving up Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn as well. Like, they're just time consuming and there's way more things.
All right, hold on a second. Who's doing your marketing and business development for investors then? Because at the moment you're saying you're getting rid of all the sort of ways of actually getting to serve someone potentially that might be interested in investing or listening to or watching.
I never said they were going to invest in my TikTok show.
No, not your TikTok show. But
that's like, it's those things are vital, but they're not part of me being on Twitter. Like, if the IP is out there, maybe that needs a representation on Twitter. I
think that's the key thing, because
that's really what we're getting at. It's not us. It's the business aspect as opposed to the personal. Personal, I'm a consumer. I don't want to be a consumer. So therefore, me as a potential customer of yours, I don't want to be on where you're going to be. So I won't see whatever business ads you put out there because I'll be gone.
Yeah, but then it's like music or books and stuff. Like, you don't find them because they're on TikTok. Who reads a book because of a great TikTok video? Like, you might do because somebody is recommended.
Actually, George probably.
Yeah,
I might actually.
But there's way more to life and how we engage in it than just what's on social media or whatever's in the hype.
Now, I think that's where we're actually coming down to it, because at the end of the day, what we've been trying to talk about, a lot of people get so obsessed in what they're doing, but in reality, it's life also goes on, and you need to spend time developing the family, developing the things that really actually matter. And these other things are what generates the income, hopefully, to allow you to actually do that. And I think that's the key thing. And I think with so many people spending too much time on the social media side of it, it's got to be a purpose behind it. And if there's no purpose, and you've got to allocate a little bit of time just to do, or somebody has to, just to get things out there, but you find your own way of doing it. And I think that's the key.
Well, that's the madness, George, is to say what we're actually doing in this moment in time is the very thing that we enjoy these conversations. So we're catching them and we're saying, well, if someone else, other people are giving out about them, so we're going, let the poor people speak and let them answer questions. I'm going,
let George have a chance to talk in here as well.
We'll get to that some stage. This is my air show, our show.
I'm just here for you to shout with me.
That's it.
I'm going to shout anyone I want.
That gives me a break.
It's
that's the show, right?
That's what the show is.
That's it. It's a conversation. It's meant to be a conversation. It's normally a monologue.
Always a monologue.
But what it is social media. We're saying we're generating this for our
actually. If I cut Garvin out of it, it should just about fit into a TikTok video.
That's it.
But most people aren't on those things, and the people that are on aren't actively engaged. Like, when I am on Twitter and
Dave Minogue, most people aren't. The entire planet including, I think, a couple other planets, are on social media. Because that's why TikTok has 100 billion users.
I think what you should do is
somebody better
listen to what Dave said. Dave said engaged. Now, most people using social media aren't actually engaged. They're just going like this.
Passively,
They're not engaged in things.
But they're honest. They're honest.
Yeah, but I don't think as many people are on it as they pretend it. Like Facebook is kind of under scrutiny for how they've been misleading investors on the. And it's like the old newspaper things, like, they say 25,000 newspapers in circulation. What they mean is that they've sold 5.
There's a pile in the corner there,
and they think that the newspaper is being read by the 5 people in that household. I can absolutely tell you that we never read the paper my dad was reading.
That's brilliant.
We're being counted.
I'm going to call you up on that. We know you read the funnies. We know you read the horoscope.
Maybe Calvin and Hobbes, but I don't think that was ever picked up by any of the Irish ones.
That's it. But no, I do hear what you're saying and go, I don't want to be on social media. I want to be doing what you're talking about, which is making content, but not about this is a type of content, but I'd love to be making films. I think George would be too.
That's why I keep reading the director's books.
We want to be taking art and packaging it. And the more time we spend on this other salesy marketing consumption or production for social media side of things is actually taking away from the functions we actually want to be carrying out.
Yeah.
But it's a pain. It's a pain we have to pay at the moment because we don't have the money to pay someone else to be doing those functions we don't want to be doing.
Yeah. I don't know, how is it any different to when the newspapers were there, the local radio were the prominent media that we were consuming? Yeah. It's just that it's different. And it's not as slow as that was, or even relaxed or considered. Like even this is way more considered than a TikTok video, right? And that's what, like, a lot of people have, because the way mainstream has been trying to catch up with all this Facebook, Twitter, all this kind of stuff, they've destroyed it. And that's why podcasts and these kind of shows are kind of having their heyday, because people do like a slow, this isn't slow, but you know what I mean? Like a slow.
I sort of say, just watching that. A slow, quiet chat in the back of the pub. Yeah. No, sorry, you came to the wrong place.
But the beauty of this is, like, you hear people shouting at each other, and it's like, and it's not like dumb shouting, you're dumb. I'm Tom Hanks, you're not Tom Hanks, I'm Tom Hanks. It's not that.
I'm Tom Hanks. If there's anyone in this room that's Tom Hanks, it's me.
I'm Picard.
You can be the young Tom Hanks.
With the beard, Riker, right? But people will do whatever they want, and some people don't know why they're doing anything. I definitely don't know why I'm doing anything, but I do know that I'm off Twitter most of the time because it's just not good for my head. And I'm less and less engaged in Instagram for similar reasons. And I don't want to be on TikTok because it just seems like a more heightened version of all of that. Yeah. So,
well, look, folks.
And I don't go to a film because it's on Twitter.
No, I know. That's what you want to experience somewhere else. Okay, well, look, folks, unfortunately, we have to do some kind of wrap up at this stage and try and work out what it was that was said during it. Somewhere along the line, Terminator came in. It had a go at the Squid Game, and I think terminated it. No, it didn't. I think the Terminator got terminated on that
Terminator
one.
TikTok
on Squid Game as well. Yeah. And the Daily Mirror somewhere got in there. But we also know that we don't tend to read Dad's newspapers, and my sons don't read mine. They'll be the ones telling me the news half the time because I don't have time to read the newspapers. That's the kind. I think also we've discovered that most of social media is something we don't particularly like, but we have to sort of dabble in it just to get the marketing side of things going. But I think at the end of the day, what's really good on listening to what you've had to say, when we did get a chance to listen to what Dave had to say, was he's actually got a film out there at the moment. What was it? See if I can get my little thing. Poster Boys film, which is on Sky Cinema, and was it? What was the other one?
Now TV.
That was the one that I think.
If you have those subscriptions,
Sky,
and it's on VOD everywhere else,
and video on demand as well, which is fantastic, because that is the biggest problem that most people who are filmmakers are having, is they can't get their films out there, and as Dave mentioned, he's probably going to spend the next 4 years promoting this film, so he does get back some kind of return on the investment that was there. And we've also chatted a little bit about how do we think about we should get investments. And Dave suggested that if we got that model right, then the Netflix and all those people will be coming to us to tell us what the secret is, because it still is a secret, unfortunately. So just before we go, we normally ask a guest, we try and give a guest a few minutes to sort of say something uninterrupted, and hopefully we'll give you a chance to say that, Dave. Is there anything you would like to have said? There you go. Didn't even get a chance to finish the question. Dave, quickly, get something in there before Garvin gets in.
No, I think you should have a little GoFundMe and set up for me, and then I'll finance.
That's a GoFund you. That's not a GoFund me.
GoFundMe. It's a GoFund you. Yeah,
I think that'd be brilliant. That's fantastic. Any last words, Garvin?
Well, no, I actually like what you just said there.
Go fund yourself.
No, GoFund me. No, well, actually, if it's me saying it, then that's fine. It's GoFund you. It's actually the thing is GoFund you. Yeah, so because everyone's the one thing about GoFundMe is everyone's asking. I don't like to go fund me. Pay for me to do what I want to do. Yeah, what am I doing for you? You're saying at the end of it, there is a little present, there is a little prize. I'm doing it for you, with you in mind as the end audience. This is going to be a good show. It's going to be a good film. But the very first sentence is the wrong one. Give me money and pay me to enjoy what I'm doing. And thank you, which is it's GoFund. We're trying to do it for you. Let me do something. Let me make something for you. And that's the journey we're on. And hopefully they will like it so we can do it again. So that's what
brilliant.
I'm thinking.
Okay. Well, look, thanks very much for the interaction that's gone on today. And we look forward to seeing our audience again next week. We'll see how that goes. It'll be once a week at least. We're not saying Fridays, even though I said Fridays, because we're now actually going to put it out on a different day, and people will watch it whenever they watch it.
We won't let you know.
It'll be our secret. It'll be our secret. Just like
it's live. I thought this was live.
Oh well, there you go.
That's going to happen.
That's going to happen at some point.
That's going to happen.
All right, everybody. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now. Bye.
Hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe and click on the bell for notifications.